Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This match is going to be between G5 and Cloud, part of their TSL Round 1 qualifying match. I believe this is the first set. It's going to be on Destination. If you're unfamiliar with what the TSL is, it is the Team Liquid Star League. Basically, it is the largest foreigner tournament out there right now. It has the biggest prizes. It has the highest level of competition. It's just an awesome event altogether, period. So check it out, teamliquid.net, and this is actually for the commentary competition. So I suggest entering that first of all. I encourage everybody to participate. And additionally, check out all the commentaries, vote on your favorite. Moletrap's already entered. I think Vol's already entered. Should be pretty fun. Actually, duplicating this. Moletrap did this game too, but I can't resist. Unfortunately, G5 is playing Cloud, and that's terrible for me. And Rhett is down the line, and this group is just terrible. I mean, these are the three guys. Rhett, G5, and Cloud are all amazing players, and I all wish they would go to the finals. And yet they have to go head-to-head and eliminate each other in their own group. That's ridiculous. And then there's Flaff. I think he's really kind of a... I really don't know much about him, but I don't think he's really going to be a factor in this group. You can see Cloud already just kind of doing a little bit of scouting here and there. G5 known as more of a creative player if you're unfamiliar with this style. He's very strong with his macro, he's very strong with his micro, he's extremely creative, has very, very strong versus Terran. His versus Protoss isn't too shabby either, but really I think he's going to have a mental edge against Cloud, because first of all, I don't think Cloud's playing his best. You can even see that little scouting pattern right there. Cloud is one of those guys like Noonie and like Machine where they have to play a ton of games to really be in tip-top shape. The thing though, once Cloud is in top shape, he's one of the best in the world. About a year and a half ago, towards the latter end of 2008, he was arguably the best foreigner out there. Definitely one of the top 3 Protoss. Not quite sure what happened, which kind of made him stop playing for a bit, but yeah, he kind of fell off the ladder a little bit here, and I'm not sure that he's back at top shape. But if he is in top shape, he is capable of basically running this entire tournament. Unfortunately for him, G5 I think is a very tough opponent for him, especially on Destination to start. It looks like he's going to open up with gas, by the way. Neither player looks like they're doing anything too crazy right here. G5 getting his gas a little bit later, going pylon first, which is actually, I think, intelligent on this map in particular, which I'll talk about in a second. Really, critically, what you have to do on Destination, because of this architecture, you've got these natural land bridges which halt any sort of early base attack, any sort of 3-gate Dragoon, 4-gate Zealot, thing like that. Zealots in particular actually have difficulty across these ramps, and speed Zealots off 2 base play. You really got to wait until the 3rd base play. It is possible to open up that back mineral line, but generally you don't see that in stereotypical Protoss versus Protoss, and I think G5 is going to play this safe. Looks like that Probe Scout getting a little bit of information, starting to skitter away, doing a fairly good job of that. Looks like the Probe Scout on the opposite end as well. But really the critical feature of this map is getting that 3rd base as Protoss immediately after you've established your 2-base economy. And for that, what you really need is you need a lot of Dragoons. And I think right now what we might see, just because we saw that early gas, is a robotics facility before 2nd base. What you do see a lot of is basically one gateway into expansion, because you need that expansion up as quickly as possible, and then you plop down a whole bunch of gateways to get basically a ton of Dragoons, so you can basically have map control. Because if you have map control in the mid game and you can establish your 3rd, you're essentially winning Destination, because as much as this helps while you're defending your natural secondary towards this stage of the game, it hurts at the next stage of the game, basically when you're trying to go out and take another expansion. Especially because the additional expansions are a little bit far away and can be kind of a pain to hold. So it looks like G5 is going to be able to scoot his Probe Scout out. Looks like Cloud's going to take some damage on the way out, but he's not going to end up losing his Probe Scout either. And here's the thing, it's critically, it looks like we are seeing range in a first Dragoon. Critically, I think Cloud, because G5 is the more creative player and Cloud tends to be the more safe player, I think he's going to put down that robotics facility before G5 is, and he might even do it right here before the expansion. That would be absolutely disastrous for him. And I think that maneuver right there, it might even cost him the game. For a second I thought Cloud managed to sneak in a scout, but it's just kind of the same color Kakuru flying around the map. G5 looks like he's already kind of scooting out to take his expansion right now. Probe having a little bit of a blockade due to his own probe coming back home. But it looks like Cloud not too far behind, even though, well, about 100 minerals behind, which I think is the difference of going that pylon with that assimilator difference right here. And G5 actually moving out a little bit in the map. That's the other thing with G5, is the only weakness I can say, well, the only 2 weaknesses I can really say he has is, first of all, he tends to get a little too crazy with his builds occasionally, but that's usually versus Terran or versus Zerg. Versus Protoss, he tends to play a little bit safer. But specifically PvP, he can send units out and then not babysit them, which can really, really hurt him. And here's what I'm talking about. It looks like Cloud's going to go for that robotics facility. He did go with natural expansion first, but he went one gate after that nexus into a robotics facility to try to get that the observer out in the field to go see what G5 is up to. I think this is going to hurt him. G5's already put down a second gateway. Granted, G5's playing a little bit risky here. He's going to put down 2 immediate gateways. I really like this build from G5. He's putting down 3 quick gateways and the robotics facility. He's going to be able to get the observer out, basically cover himself just in case Dark Templar were out in the field. Granted, if Cloud had done something really nuts like on straight Dark Templar here, might have been able to pull something. Looks like he managed to kill a probe scout, but because he has these 2 lanes, he can, if he needs to, pull probes off, buy himself a little bit of time to basically get the additional Dragoons out in the field. And having these 3 gateways early, again, is going to provide him with the additional Dragoons he needs to win that early fight, to establish map control, to take that third, and to take the game. And because, again, I don't think that Cloud would have gone Observatory necessarily against other players. I think it's because it is G5. He's so creative. You never know what he's up to. And unfortunately, I think it's going to end up hurting him. He's already got a couple troops, but what you're going to see essentially is you're going to see a differentiation of more Dragoons versus, and a couple Zealots in the mix, but basically a whole lot more Dragoons for G5, a whole lot earlier. And then when it comes to that big first fight, it's going to be a lot of trouble for Cloud, and I think G5 is going to be able to establish position. And that's that was the other thing I got kind of interrupted in my brain thought there. G5, the one weakness I would say he has is when he goes out to engage in those battles, he tends not to babysit the troops as they're going across the middle of the field. But because Destination has that nice clumping effect, and because there's lots of bridges here on the engagement path, he's not going to lose as many troops as normal should that happen to him. Looks like that observer already kind of kicking out. And you can see Cloud already taking up a defensive position outside of those bridges. He wants to make sure he can maintain map control outside here so he can go take his third in a minute here. G5 a little bit more defensive on the interior because, he went a little bit more risky here. He does have that observer building. He's already got that first observer out in the field. So I think he's already dodged the bullet. I think he knows he's dodged the bullet, which is going to provide him the opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive. Cloud just now getting his third and fourth gateway. G5 already has his fourth gateway warping in as well. But it just feels like G5 is going to have a much more sizable Dragoon army to kind of follow this up, getting a little bit of a separated army here. And Cloud is just going to get caught out of position. And let's see, really the big boon for Cloud right now is if he could kill that observer out in the field, make sure that his Dragoon numbers specifically and additionally his troop positioning won't get kind of noticed. And if he can pull that off, he might be in a good position. He's getting a Citadel of Adun, it looks like, might be able to snipe that observer. It looks like he is going to be able to pick that observer off. That's actually going to be pretty big for him because it's not going to be able to swing around. It's not going to be able to take a look at the number of the Dragoons on the front door. I think G5 has already got to be smiling to himself, though, because he's seeing essentially these 4 gateways. I think he just saw that gateway warp in. Pretty heavy drone saturation in the background. He also saw that Citadel of Adun coming in. Looks like he's also getting his Citadel of Adun a little bit later. Cloud right now does have the scouting advantage, but again, look at all these Dragoons comparatively. He's got about, I would say, additional 3, maybe 4, and once he moves across, that's going to play a big difference in that initial engagement, which is going to be coming up in just a minute or two here. Essentially what it's going to come down to, he might actually do it right. Actually, Cloud able to sneak that observer out. He might do it here in just a minute. Looks like Cloud is going to add on 2 additional gateways, to try to pump up as many troops as possible. Also getting that Templar archives. Looks like G5 going to add on additional gateways himself. He's just going to stick to 5 though. And now here's where you want that Zealot speed. He's already upgrading it right now. He's got a couple more Zealots out in the field. And basically what's going to happen is you're going to see this big climactic clash right into the middle of the field to basically see who